I didn't choose this, your mom chose this.
These home videos may show your typical loving American family, but unknown to the rest of the world, this broken home was under serious threat from their unstable father. A paranoid man who forged a double life and cared more about his hair than his wife's impending death. But what precisely caused Trent to snap? And what was he so upset about? Today, we explore the life of the Pascal family. The YouTube videos posted years before their downfall, Trent's own video taken just seconds before his most lethal moment, and the double life that he secretly played after. Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at a case like no other. Now, I've said this time and time again, but you should never take someone's social media at face value. And Trent, well, let's just say he's the perfect example of how rotten an apple can be behind its shiny facade. Before we begin, please do consider subscribing if you want to see more true crime, strange and chilling stories. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee and let's caffeinate while we investigate. This is the case of Trent Pascal. Hey there folks, and like always, we begin our story today with the one who matters the most, that being Savannah Kinchin. Born on August the 22nd, 1990, Savannah was raised by her mother Shirley and father Michael. Growing up in Pasadena, Texas, she was no stranger to hot weather, southern hospitality, and strawberries. Of course, with Pasadena being the old strawberry capital. Savannah enjoyed many activities as a child, including gymnastics, dance, swimming, ice skating, bowling, karate, and, of course, her favorite, horseback riding, which was her all-time favorite hobby with her father. It is noted that, even from an early age, Savannah's compassionate nature seemed to shine through. She had a deep love for animals and a knack for finding those in need. Whether it being a stray puppy or an injured bird, she always made it her mission to care for and rescue every creature she encountered. Summers were a special place for Savannah, which were always spent at church camp, which she lovingly nicknamed Gonzo. Starting in second grade and continuing throughout high school, Gonzo became her summer haven. It was there that she grew in her faith and served as a leader for several years. She was an outgoing and a popular teenager, one who took her friends and the Bible very seriously. Even as an adult, Savannah's connection to Gonzo remained strong. She cherished the friendships that she built there and would continue to attend retreats and gatherings, keeping the spirit of those summers always alive in her heart. But moving forward, Savannah graduated from Clear Creek High School in the year 2008. She was a proud member of the marching band and the bowling team, and in her senior year, she would help those teams reach the state finals. Now, up until this point in life, everything seemed to be going rather well for Savannah. But after graduating from high school, she undertook work experience at a local vet clinic. She still wanted to become a veterinarian, but after experiencing the pain and the hardship of being one, she decided to pivot her aspirations instead. It was here that she made the rather surprising switch towards becoming a chef, swapping out surgeries for kitchen knives at the culinary school of Alvin College. But once again, her life would take an unexpected turn when she found herself to be accidentally pregnant. To complicate the situation, the father was not someone she was in a committed relationship with, and since he had no intention of sticking around either, Savannah found herself becoming a single mother. At the age of 19 and still a teenager herself, she found her situation to be quite difficult. But saying that, she loved her son William with all of her heart and claimed that she would have it no other way. Fast forward 3 years, and this is where our next character joins the story. It was at the age of 22 that Savannah accidentally bumped into her next partner at a grocery store. And from the moment that she met him, she was apparently smitten. Now, at almost twice her age, Trent Pascal was a 40-year-old business owner who seemed to have his life together. He was confident, successful, charming, and tall. So, at least from that perspective, you can see why Savannah fell for him. She was a mother who had a child, and she did not want to be messing around. And Trent, well, he looked like a father figure. So, moving on to the man himself, Trent was originally from North Shore in Texas, and although he was dubbed to be the cool uncle in his family, he was also known to have a fiery side that would often come out in times of unhappiness. With an age gap of almost 2 decades, some of Savannah's friends watched on in the distance with concern. Not that they had much time to intervene anyway, because only a few months after dating, the two would then decide to go on and get married. and only 1 year later, they then welcomed their first child together named Mackenzie. From here on out, the Pascals seemed like your typical happy American family, an already successful father, a loving mother, and 2 children with all the love and support they required. And Savannah was well on her way to become her own success story too. Known for her kind, sweet, and caring demeanor, she decided to enter the world of mortuary service and help bereaved families in need. However, unfortunately, behind closed doors, the relationship between Savannah and Trent slowly began to fray. Like I've said before, he was known to be the cool uncle of the family, but that doesn't mean he was perfect. In fact, he was well known for having extreme anger issues, and he was more than happy to cut his own family out of his life. And believe me, after reading the stories about him, he would do that without warning. Neighbours also recalled the two often arguing either in the kitchen or the back garden, and this would be quite a regular occurrence. And if Savannah ever decided to shout or argue back, well, Trent would just up the ante. Unfortunately, those were not the only warning signs either. Trent was paranoid about many external factors in society. For one, he didn't believe in banks controlling people's finances. So, in response, he would keep all of his money hidden inside his own home. Now, we will never actually know if this really was a matter of trust in the banks, or if maybe he simply wished to evade paying taxes. But either way, this sort of behavior extended to his wife, making it even more concerning. Savannah's mother would also learn through her own investigation that Trent in fact had a criminal history, which included theft charges. Having a criminal history was a big red flag to her family, but unfortunately, Savannah had the wool pulled over her eyes, and she insisted that he was a changed man. But for those looking in from the outside, they were none the wiser to what exactly was going on. To dive into the world of YouTube here, but Trent created a channel years earlier, posting videos of his wife and his children. It was on March the 24th, 2014, that he posted a video called "Cute Baby Laughing at Mummy Blowing Bubbles." In this video, you can see Mackenzie and Savannah enjoying some mum-child time together, which, no surprise, seemed to win over Trent's audience. From here on out, Trent started creating family vlogs, where his family and friends were seen on various holidays and trips around America. He would also post videos of exploding bottles and how to make good GoPro grips. Thanks, I guess, Trent. In most of these videos, Trent did appear to be both calm and complacent. He became more narrated during his time online, ultimately amassing more than 200,000 views across the platform. During this time frame, he would then go on to create another YouTube channel named Big Money Tea, which unfortunately has since been terminated. But what many people don't know or realize is that Savannah herself actually had a couple YouTube channels, which is something that other documentaries covering Trent Pascal seem to have missed. One of these channels, which posted a video in the year 2017, shows Savannah giving a makeup tutorial, which has been viewed almost 4,000 times. Her other YouTube channel, which dates back to the year 2013, eerily records Trent's childhood. The video itself was recorded in the year 1987, which allows us to take a glimpse at the yellow-shirted Trent when he was only 14 years old. And by the way, it's kind of strange, and I don't know how, but as a teenager, he already looks like an old man. From the years 2014 through to 2017, and while these videos were being uploaded to YouTube, the Pascal family home trundled on with insecurities and red flags. By now, Savannah was working in a mortuary home while simultaneously studying for a degree at the Commonwealth School of Mortuary Science. This meant that, naturally, her finances were rather restricted over this period, accepting a short-term sacrifice in wealth to increase her odds after graduation. However, rather than have control of her own money, Trent would then force her to hand over all her earnings to him, where, quite despicably, he would then provide her with a weekly allowance. And once again, all of their money was being physically stored inside of their property, with Savannah spending a lot of time between work and studying and their combined efforts to raise 2 children. It is unfortunately no surprise that their exclusive time together as a married couple began to dwindle. But rather than fix the problem, Trent would instead become paranoid that his wife was actually having an affair. With him being much older and, let's face it, not in the best of shape, he feared that she might leave him for a younger and a more sporty man. Now, I get it, we don't get to choose our insecurities, nor do we get to decide if other people's insecurities are valid or not. But Trent should have hit the gym and shown Savannah what a great man he could be, and not tear her down with his whinging instead. Red flags and control aside, the arguments between Trent and Savannah seemed to worsen over the years, and eventually, his aggression became so bad that Savannah would often call her mum for support. When Trent learned that she was doing this, he would then try to create distance between the two of them, and not only this, but he would then often call her mum to share his own side of the story. By the year 2019, Savannah had flourished into her own self. Through 2020, her job at the funeral home seemed to be in higher demand, meaning that she was working longer hours and receiving higher pay. The pandemic saw a pivot in their finances. Where Trent was the usual breadwinner, he was now stuck at home with no contracts. But inversely, Savannah was asked to do overtime. It was quite clear that this shift in power was extraordinarily uncomfortable for him, and that is when he started to see Savannah's time away from the home as a problem. It was in this moment that his paranoia seemed to really get out of control. He began to tell Savannah's friends and family that he suspected she was having an affair. And despite her promising that she was not interested in any other man, and despite him having no evidence, his suspicions would continue to creep on. Throughout the year of 2020, Trent's mental health, or you could say his Trental health, continued to spiral quite drastically. It all began with security and things that are otherwise quite understandable. For example, installing security cameras all across the property. But then things started to become a little bit more obsessive, and he would demand that Savannah shared her location via her phone at all times. And then, out of nowhere and all of a sudden, the police were at the Pascal family's front door because Trent had stolen a vehicle. But even still, he would actually blame his wife for his own criminal mistakes, claiming that he felt pressured to find more money because she wanted nice things. For Savannah, that was enough, and she decided that she no longer wanted to raise two kids in such a destructive environment. And although Trent was the one to actually suggest the divorce, he was absolutely furious when she took it. To make matters even worse, Trent had actually already installed several recorders around the property so he could secretly listen in to her conversations. And when he overheard her plans to discreetly leave him, oh boy, was he miffed. However, saying that, nothing could prepare her, or anyone else in fact, for his upcoming explosive behavior, which would happen on his own birthday of all days. October 21st, 2020. With it being Trent's birthday, Savannah woke up to immediately celebrate on Facebook. Unfortunately, she had already been burned before the year prior, when Trent grew mad at her for not doing it early enough. But she really was trying, and had planned to host a surprise party for him later that evening. With it being a weekday, Savannah got up and made her way to work, with Trent dropping the kids off at school. But then, all of a sudden, at 10 AM, she received a disturbing phone call. Trent was on the other end of the line, and he was furious. He accused her yet again of having an affair, and claimed that he had a gun and a bullet with her name on it. Savannah rushed home in a panic, with her mother Shirley close behind. An explosive argument erupted, with neighbors then calling the police in response. Trent was absolutely unhinged, and it was clear that he was having a Trental breakdown. He was intensely adamant that he was being cheated on, and he was not willing to let it go. With no grounds or evidence, the police told him to take a step back and make himself scarce for 24 hours. And so, forced to listen to the law, he then drove away, with Savannah and Shirley traveling to the school to make sure that their children were okay. And although he promised to leave them alone, Trent unfortunately had other plans. Returning to the property, he then sat on the sofa and waited for Savannah to come home. And, addressed to his daughter, that is when he recorded this infamous video.
I'm recording this because I want my daughter to know that I love you, Mackenzie, Paschal. I'm so sorry that I've done this. I want you to know that you mean everything to me. And William, I love you too. I love you so much. I love you like you're my own. I didn't choose this. Your mom chose this. She's been cheating on me for a long time. I have audio of her talking to other guys. I didn't do nothing wrong to her. When we first got together, I told her, you were too young for me. There's an 18-year-old difference in her age. And I knew she was kind of too young, but she's been playing me for a fool. I told her not to mess with me, not to mess with my emotions. Don't play with me. I got an audio where she was calling a guy yesterday on her way to get her eyelashes done, and she said, "Hey, baby," and he goes, "Hey," and I was like, "That's not my voice. Why is she calling somebody else baby?" Then she started talking about a dream and everything, and she had with them too about sex and everything. And I put everything into this relationship. I have done nothing to your mom. I've never hit her. I've never hurt her. I've never called her names. A couple of times when I got really mad, I would say a bad word or something, but I've done everything I can. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm like, why me? My hair's a mess and I look horrible. Oh, sorry. Take these off. I love you, Mackenzie. I love you so much. Please do something good with your life. Please do something really good, because you deserve a good life. And I don't know what else to say. I'm so sorry I don't have better words right now. I'm hurting so bad. I don't know what else to do anymore. I didn't do nothing wrong to her. I provided what I could. I've done what I could for her. I've done nothing but good for her. And I've treated y'all good. I've done good things for y'all. And I don't know what else to say. I love you, Mackenzie. I love you so much. Do something good with your life. Make me proud. Make me very proud. And Mom, I love you. You've been the angel through my whole life, taking care of me. You're there when I need you. You've always answered the phone for me. You've done everything. Sorry, I keep looking at the cameras. I don't know how much time I have. But I've never done anything like, I don't know. I was going back. My mind is everywhere. I can't concentrate right now. Anyways, Mom, I love you so much. You're my angel. I love you. You mean everything to me. And Dad, you've done a lot for me too. And you've taken care of me. You raised me good. You've done whatever you could. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love you so much. You love me like your own.
As you can see, Trent Pascal recorded this video before then abruptly ending it. He spent most of his time talking about his feelings and failing to address anyone else's. It is worth noting here that his tears appeared to be fake, and he even spoke of his appearance, as if anyone would find him attractive with or without those glasses. Towards the end of the video, he realized that Savannah had just returned home. In response, he then made a break for the bathroom in the master bedroom before then hiding behind the shower curtain. And what he did next was truly unthinkable. Savannah and her mother Shirley had just returned home from school. With an argument between the two erupting earlier that day, she wanted to check on their children to make sure that they were doing fine. However, once the two got inside the property, the one to enter the master bedroom's bathroom was not Savannah herself, but her mother. That is when Trent jumped out from behind the curtains before giving a bone-chilling declaration. "I'm going to kill you, and then I'll kill your daughter." Shirley shut the bathroom door on Trent before then running out of the bedroom towards the front door. In a panic, she tripped and then fell multiple times, hurting herself in the process, while she screamed for her daughter Savannah to get out. And although Trent did intend to kill Savannah's mother, he thankfully missed with every shot. But tragically, Savannah would not be so lucky. With her being the primary target, Trent managed to find her and then take multiple shots at his wife. and sadly, she would receive 2 bullet wounds to the middle abdomen as a result. If Trent's horrible actions were not enough already, he then decided to take things one step further. No later than a few seconds after murdering Savannah, he then stepped outside of the house to call her aunt, Sharon. She picked up the phone to hear him say, "Sharon, this is Trent. I just killed Savannah. I remember picking the gun up and then shooting her." However, it would be her children who would face the harshest of realities, because in an instant, not only would they lose their mother, but also their father in a different way. But as to where Trent actually went, nobody knew at the time, for he was now on the run. Police officers immediately responded to the scene after hearing reports of a shooting. Savannah was noted to have bled profusely while paramedics rushed to save her life. And sadly, despite being hurried to the mainland medical center, she was then later pronounced dead. And, of course, that is when officers found his video online, visible for the entire world to see. Meanwhile, Trent traveled to Houston to try to evade the police, and although he had told a friend that he needed to lay low for a while, he didn't precisely say why. However, after the police found Trent's vehicle in a car park, they decided to lay low and wait for him instead. And once he returned to his vehicle, of course they intercepted him and then tried to arrest him. But Trent, he was not willing to go down quietly, and so, of course, after realizing that the police were onto him, he pulled out his firearm to try to initiate a shootout. And that is precisely what he got. As a result, he was shot once in the stomach, where he would then fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which way you see it, make a full recovery. But that was not actually his plan. In fact, while he was on the ground and still bleeding, he would even tell the officers that they did a terrible job, and that furthermore, he wished that he was killed. But sadly, this is not where our story ends today. In fact, it gets far more frustrating. You see, despite facing charges of murder, assault, evasion, and possession, Trent was then bailed out of prison by his own parents. And of course, this meant that, at least until his upcoming trial, he could continue to live life as a relatively free man. Now, all of this money would come out of his own family's bank account, which cost them a whopping $550,000. But they would get that money back as long as he went to trial. And sadly, here comes a myriad of legal screw-ups and massive mistakes. Due to his ankle being swollen when it was fitted, Trent could then take this ankle monitor off as and when he pleased. And believe me, this would allegedly happen very often. In fact, data later revealed that his ankle monitor would remain at home on its charger for more than 90% of the time. This meant that he was no longer confined to his parents' home, and unknown to the police, he would often slip out undetected, and even post about his trips on social media. Now, the police were actually often made aware of this, as Savannah's family were left gobsmacked that his daughter's killer was out in the sun while he was supposed to be behind bars, or at least confined to the walls of his family home. So, here we have a callous murderer who is not only breaking the rules, but also being arrogant and smug enough to post about it all across social media. I would like to say I'm surprised, but unfortunately, I don't think any of us are. On April the 21st, 2020, which was 6 months after murdering his wife, Trent would once again do the unthinkable. After slipping his ankle monitor off, he then traveled downtown to a local car dealership. Without being asked for any ID, he then convinced the salesman to help him take a test drive. And once the two were out on the road together, well, it was in that moment that Trent then brandished a knife and told the salesman to get out of the car. Then he made a run for it, and just like that, he disappeared. Now, you may have expected a high-speed car chase after this, but that's not what Trent actually received. In fact, he kind of hit the jackpot for a while. Deep in the countryside of Missouri, he decided to become a nomad. Living in his RV with a new partner, he and his girlfriend, Katherine Johnson, lived the slow life, drinking beers, counting stars, and exploring caves and waterfalls. Under the name of Trevor Stevenson, he completely fooled everyone he met. Posing as a loving but divorced father who found his true calling as a nomad, this facade and double life would last him 8 long months. 8 months of freedom and happiness that his wife would never receive again. It is also worth mentioning here that Trent had betrayed his family. They spent every dollar they had to bring him out of prison on bond, And now, with him on the run, they were not guaranteed to get that money back. Essentially, he destroyed his family's wealth overnight. However, all good things must come to an end, and on New Year's Eve of the year 2020, his new partner made a terrifying discovery. After stumbling upon his wallet, she learned that his name was, in fact, Trent Pascal, and after doing a quick Google of this name, well, I'm surprised the woman didn't have a heart attack. Fearing for her life, she then called the police, who would then respond by setting up an armed perimeter around him, and in the second hour of the new year, they were finally ready to apprehend him again. However, as you may have likely guessed already, Trent had other plans, and before police officers could even get a hold of him, they would hear one single gunshot. Proceeding to his location, they then realized that Trent Pascal had ended his own life. He, of course, keeping control right to the bitter end. But at least we could say that Trent was now finally spent. Unfortunately, with Trent ending his own life, Savannah and her family would not receive the justice they deserved through his trial. However, at least those New Year's fireworks now have some sort of double meaning. Now, what I personally found interesting, at least in this part of the story, was Katherine Johnson's position. To begin with, she lived with Trent for several months after the murder, and all she knew him by was a kind, sweet, and caring man who always looked after her. In fact, she had no idea that he was even capable of being violent. It was only after she found his ID by accident that she realized he was a cold-blooded killer. Naturally, this left her extraordinarily confused, and she would even go on to feel responsible for his death because he would end his life after she turned him in. And unfortunately, Katherine Johnson would pass away not even 1 year later, and although it is confirmed that she is dead, nobody actually knows the cause of her death, but many do assume that she ended up taking her own life through the guilt. Trent leaves behind a long list of victims, from his children to his wife and her family, right through to his nomad lover. He has provided a world of sadness and pain to many, but, of course, the primary victim here is Savannah. Savannah's friends have described her as a kind-hearted, compassionate, graceful, and beautiful person inside and out. She was hardworking, easy to talk to, joyful, inclusive, sweet, friendly, full of love, and a ray of sunshine. The pride of her life was in her children, William and Mackenzie, who now must grow up without a mother and a father. She was active in their schoolwork and their extracurricular activities, a loving and devoted mother who always put her children's needs first. It is sad that she began her career in funeral service only 1 year prior, a job that she loved just as much as the people she worked with. She was so excited to be actively building her career, and something that she had aspired to do for many years throughout her adult life. Savannah used her compassion, caring, and kind heart to help those mourning the loss of their loved ones. She truly believed that God had placed her in this profession and felt it was her calling. But no one believed that, only 1 year later, she would be on the other end of that service. Savannah enjoyed quality time with her children, playing card and board games, working jigsaw puzzles, baking, and spending time with friends and family at the beach. And although she is now gone, she continues to serve others even in death as an organ and a tissue donor. In light of Trent's death, Savannah's mother finally spoke out for tighter restrictions, to ask for a system not only more robust, but also more fair to the victims.
Did I want him to be held responsible for his actions? Did I want to look him in the eye and for him to face me again with what he had done? Yes. Am I sorry that he no longer walks on this earth? No. We will continue to honor our daughter's memory by fighting for bond reform and bringing light to a justice system that not only failed us and her children, but so many other victims. I think there needs to be stricter monitoring on the ankle monitors. Once the subpoena was done, which it was done after he committed theft of the vehicle, it was found out that his ankle monitor had been on the charger at his mother's home almost 90% of the time.
Now, don't get me wrong, this story is absolutely wild from the beginning right through to the end. But I guess the thing that I find the craziest is how Trent was able to get away with his ankle monitor so many times. I mean, this man would go out almost every single day and then post about it on social media, and yet the police did absolutely nothing. I can only imagine how infuriated Savannah's family must have felt, and if I were them, I would have lost all my confidence in the judicial system. So those are my thoughts, but I do want to add just one more thing before I end this video, and that's something I said at the very beginning of this story. And that's, do not trust what people put on social media. Usually, it is just a facade. Or at least it's the best version of themselves, because sadly, humility and modesty seem to be lacking in society these days. Anyway folks, before I wrap up this one, I do want to ask what you think about this story, so as always, please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, then why not subscribe if you haven't yet? Alternatively, you can find my Patreon here, or my social media here. Oh, and by the way, have you noticed that coffee in the background? That's not actually fake, it's my coffee. So if you want to grab a bag of classified, then please check out the link down below. Anyway folks, I think that pretty much wraps up this video today. So on that note, thank you so much for watching, and I really do appreciate you being here. I'll be back again very soon, but until that moment arrives, remember to look after yourself, look after each other, and of course, stay safe. Thank you, and goodbye.